5 what?
This is Penn Sunday School, and to our listening ears, all angels sing.
Ready.
Round us rings.
5 little Indians.
That's right.
Brothers and sisters, welcome to Penn Sunday School, starring Penn Teller. My name is Michael Godot. Matt Donnelly is off doing shows with Piff somewhere. Penn and I are broadcasting from the Show Creator Studios south in Las Vegas. Penn came in extra chipper today and feeling great. That's because he didn't realize he had had an extra hour of sleep as daylight savings time ended. The Poodle Dog scores a major win, and Penn is trying to put some Sam Harris into the Penn and Teller show. Here he is, preaching love, Mr. Penn Gillette.
Preaching love. A different kind of love for the Poodle Dog. I was the one who did not want to have a dog, as you know. I tried everything to not get a dog.
You have a family. There's no chance you're not going to have a dog.
I bought my son a bearded dragon. I bought my daughter many geckos.
Yeah.
I tried getting them fish. I tried all sorts of things to not have a dog. Now, I'm going to explain. I don't enjoy the company of a dog, but I have no animosity toward a dog. I want a dog to be it's the way I feel about squirrels.
Mm-hmm.
My problem with pets is not that I don't like animals, but I don't like animals that have been bred to suck up to us.
Yeah.
That's what they're bred for.
It
you know,
is.
the ones that didn't suck up to us were killed, and all that's left is the suck-ups.
Yeah.
So their faces got flatter. You know what I mean? They did
More baby looking.
more baby looking. They got bigger eyes. We did this to them. Now, if you read Harari, he will tell you that dogs may have domesticated themselves,
Right.
but still,
And we're wheat slaves, so
yeah, we chose them.
I like
We chose.
Harari's. But we know you've seen the video of the baboons at the dump raising dogs.
Yeah,
And so it's apparently not difficult to domesticate a dog, or at least to make one live with your tribe.
yeah. And then we obviously took the dogs that we thought were good
Right.
and kept breeding them until now we have things like a Poodle Dog.
Yeah.
So I thought if we were going to do this, and the dogs do read our emotions, they do all of this. I understand all of that. I read books about the intelligence of animals. I know that we're not smart enough to know how smart animals are.
Right.
We have no way to tell. As a matter of fact, we have in the Ted Chiang story, we have living on this planet things that can communicate with us, and yet we worry about alien life. We could spend our time talking to parrots. Parrots are actually speaking English. And, I met Alex. I met Alex. Pepperberg, I think. The Irene Pepperberg, or something.
I don't remember her name. Yet.
But I went to MIT, and I
Hung out with the bird.
hung out with the bird. And I will tell you, as a skeptic, and I was very skeptical then, I was waiting for a clever Hans thing, but I would say, pick up the yellow block, and Alex would do that.
That's pretty great.
What color is that? Blue.
Right. Wow.
I mean,
Nice.
pretty amazing. And they certainly were able to state emotion, not like Coco. I ranted about Coco the gorilla
Yeah.
not being a
Well, they withdrew Coco from public scrutiny.
Yeah. But when I talked about, this is years and years ago, I was doing Alex Bennett's show. I was hosting Alex Bennett's show in San Francisco. And there was news about Coco and how Coco the gorilla was communicating. And I was very, very skeptical. And I got a very, very angry letter from the zookeepers who were working with Coco.
Yeah.
Very angry letter. And I read the angry letter on the air and then said, I want to point out something. It's not signed Coco, which I thought was my
A
argument.
fine joke.
And when I was a carnist,
Mm-hmm.
and when I was resolving my cognitive dissonance with eating meat and suffering, I was very flippant about animals not having emotions.
Mm.
And now I've just read too much. I didn't get this information like other people get it by looking in the eyes of their dogs or something. I read enough, including this horrible, just such a disturbing article about chickens, that we consider chickens to be, stupid birds.
Right.
They're actually not. And they actually have all sorts of bonding things and all sorts of stuff that makes it horrible that that they are just factory destroyed, and how much feeling they have in their beaks and how we cut them off so they don't do that. And
Right.
horrible stuff. And I'm very aware that I was simply wrong. And stuff I said in bullshit and everywhere else was just wrong about animals. But my favorite kinds of animals, we all know, I like to see an animal.
Yeah.
I like to see a good duck or a good pigeon or a good squirrel.
In their natural habitat.
Well, as much as not natural at all, living among us,
Pigeons, no.
but not sucking up to us. Squirrels do not suck up.
Not so much.
Not so much. And also, I like the fact that some animals, like zebras, very close to horses, but can't domesticate the motherfuckers. They just stay mean.
Yeah.
And there was video of that horse that played dead when you tried
It's
to
actually
ride
true of ponies as well, but people pretend that it's not true. Ponies are dicks.
Really?
Yeah.
Are ponies different than horses?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And they're jerks. They're grumpy. They're a grumpy bunch of animals.
I don't know, though. I mean, I don't know how nice it is to have someone put something in your mouth to steer you and ride around on you.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, and I should say there's incredible hypocrisy here because my daughter has a horse
Yeah.
and rides dressage, which I don't know how much the horse enjoys that. I don't know. I don't know how much the horse enjoys it. My daughter enjoys it.
Right.
I don't know. And right now, my allegiance to my daughter is greater than to a horse.
And
That may change.
You may ask her. She may know how the horse feels about it.
But I'll tell you, we have now, and I had a few rules. I said if we were going to get a dog, it had to be a full-size dog, a real big dog. Little dogs are even more annoying. I said that I wouldn't take care of it at all.
Yeah.
And that it had to be a poodle dog and had to be referred to as a poodle dog. And then I was told that I also said that I would insist on naming it. And I named it Potato Fuckhead Gillette.
Yeah.
And we have several little tags for his collar that say that, sent in by listeners.
Nice.
I have nice callers sent by listeners that say Potato Fuckhead Gillette. But he's gone from being called Potato to being called Tater.
Yes.
Everybody calls him Tater. And Tater is an energetic dog. And Tater can jump his feet from a dead stop, can jump 5 feet up.
Wow.
He get his feet straight. I've never seen anything like it. He can jump over something 5 feet high without a running start. He jumps like Pepe Le Pew. Boink, boink.
Right.
And he slides on the floors, and he's actually a little bit funny. And I cannot bring myself to talk to him. The whole family talks to him. How you doing, hey, Tater? How you doing? I can pat him on the head. And then when I'm sitting reading, he curls up at my feet. He really enjoys being around me. And I am not, I want to make this very clear, in any way ever mean to him. But I ignore him. Okay. Now, what troubles me is the children sometimes would rather play a video game than play with the dog.
Right.
And of course, I say, when you wanted this dog, you said you'd play with him all the time. And now this dog is energetic, wants attention, and should be taken out for a walk. So I have started taking the dog on walks. Because I figured nothing's wrong with me taking, I'm a 64-year-old man, walking 45 minutes a day at a good clip with the dog's probably a good idea. And the dog, when I pick up the leash, the dog goes apeshit. So excited that we're going to go out.
Yes.
Now, I don't talk to the dog while we're walking. I just think. And I got this idea yesterday. When I get a good idea, it's always trouble. It's always trouble. My idea was that would do me a lot better if I walked at a good brisk clip.
Okay.
So the dog is always pulling very hard. Now, the dog, I should say, weighs about 80 pounds.
It's a large dog.
And is a strong dog. Now, he is cut foo-foo. He's a stupid-looking foo-foo cut. He has puffy head, puffy shoulders.
Right.
He looks as stupid as possible, which is something else I insisted on. He be called Poodle Dog. He looks stupid. His name be Tater Fuckhead, and that he always be referred to as a Poodle Dog because of it's my way of honoring Frank Zappa, who would use the phrase Poodle Dog a lot, and I liked it.
Yeah.
So yesterday, we're not working, but we are working every night. I'll get to that, but we're not working Not doing a show.
Not doing shows.
Because Teller had a surgery on his back, which went very successfully, by the way. He's doing wonderfully. Probably ahead of schedule, but we're not going to add shows in because he really should have the break that the doctor told him. Although he feels like he could do shows. Of course, either one of us feel like we can do shows,
Yeah.
with no sleep and a broken arm and a fever of 106. So you can't trust him. We trust the doctors. So I've been trying to work really hard on my novel. I've been trying to play my bass a lot. I've been trying to do all this kind of self-improvement stuff, besides working with Teller on writing for next year's The Fool Us. So I've taken the dog for a walk. And I'm trying to, I'll take him for a walk. He'll be happy and I'll get a little exercise. So I walked, not far, but I kept track of it on my watch. My Withings watch told me that I went altogether over 2.5 miles, which is not an insignificant walk, in like under 45 minutes, something like that.
That's quick.
And so I'm running alongside the dog. Then we come back and we're a little bit tired. The dog starts out bounding like Pepe Le Pew on a string.
Yippee.
And then after 1.5 miles, the dog comes down to a regular walk. It's also uphill back to where we're going. So we're walking back. And I see a green Penn brand tennis ball.
Ah.
Now, when we are home, Tater has more dog toys,
Yeah.
almost as many as I have records.
My house is entirely filled with dog toys and with the resultant fuzz from dog toys being torn open. So everything in my house is a wreck.
Yeah. So we have dog toys, but he likes a tennis ball. So I see a green tennis ball because there are tennis courts near the golf course where our house is. So I pick up this tennis ball and I think to myself, Tater likes to chase a tennis ball. And I somehow did not process the information that I had Tater on a leash. Right? I guess I knew it. If you'd asked me, is Tater on a leash, I would have said, yeah. But the physics of that didn't dawn on me. So I took the tennis ball and I knew he could. I did know he was on a leash because I knew I wasn't going to throw it far. So I thought I would throw it not far, like 10 feet, 12 feet. And then we'd have the fun of chasing it together. That was my idea. It'd be fun. My idea. It's going to be a fun little activity for me to interact with the dog. So when you throw something, if you pick it up and throw it before you're standing up straight, you're a little bit off balance in the throws.
Yeah.
Right? We've seen that.
You're doing it in one move. You're going to swoop it off the ground. You're going to toss it.
Right. Which puts me on one foot, my center of gravity, a little bit forward. That dog, when that tennis ball leaves my hand, that dog takes off more successfully than Elon Musk's rockets. It flies, okay? And I'm off balance. And it's also 80 pounds on a rope that has, because he's jumped, it's more than 80 pounds to pull. Now, I weigh, 248.
Right.
So that's roughly a third of my weight, right?
Yeah.
That's being pulled
directly through your arm.
So I fell. I fell like a motherfucker on the cement. And I very close to broke this finger. It is swollen. It hurts so much. I slammed the
See
finger
the
there.
scrapes. Yeah, you got scrapes on it.
All over my elbow, all over my shoulder. My legs hurt, everything. And then because I'm so good at communicating with dogs, this makes everybody laugh. When the dog barks and I don't like it, I say to the dog, please, just please. So now I am on the ground with the leash being pulled crazy, with blood coming out of my hand and elbow, lying on the ground. And I'm going, please, just give me, just give me a minute. Just give me a minute, please, which the dog does not understand.
No.
At all.
The dog is not a James Brown fan.
Or Spike Lee. Please, baby, please. So the Poodle Dog took me down.
Continue to drag you.
It wasn't able to drag me. I have enough resistance that it couldn't drag me.
Even with the blood kind of
Yeah.
smoothing out the sidewalk. It was still not enough.
And I went back and told my tale of woe to my children. And what was the first thing Moxie said when I told her this whole story just like this?
Is the dog okay?
No, better. Was it funny?
Oh, good.
I said, well,
He's a professional.
I felt kind of slowly, so I'm not sure. She said, you taught us that people falling is always funny. I said, well, I suppose it was funny. Me begging the dog on the ground was pretty funny. And you know what I did this morning?
No.
What I did this morning?
That same thing again?
Took the dog out for another walk.
Wow.
You know what I threw for the dog to fetch? Nothing. Our dog also does not understand fetch. He understands fetch. He doesn't understand repeating fetch.
Yeah.
Just holds it in his mouth. Give me that
dog
off the
does
right.
that.
What's that?
My dog does that. He'll run, grab anything, and bring it back. Just won't let it go.
Yeah.
Just want to sit with you and hold and chew this.
Yeah. And if you try to take it, that's the game.
Yeah.
So that's the story of my poodle dog. Boy, I hate
So you walked the dog this morning again.
Yeah. I had an extra hour that I didn't know about until you told me. You know, I have railed against daylight savings time. Of course, I'm even against time zones.
Yes.
I want the world to be on one time zone, Greenwich Mean Time, because they called it in the air. Let them have that. And that's what the whole world should be. And then you just adjust to where you are. You just say, you know, here in Vegas.
Sun is up from 4 till whatever.
Yeah.
6 p.m. Yeah.
Well, we'll do a 24-hour clock, Greenwich Mean Time. So I would actually rather go that's a good time to change from base 10 to base 12. It's also a good time to do that at the same time, get it all done. And then make it also like a 12-hour day where each hour is 2 hours. I can do all of that. I can solve everything at once if you just come with me on this. But anyways, I hate daylight savings time.
Yes, I know you do.
It accomplishes nothing. I loathe it. But I didn't know it happened.
So it was a perfect day for it.
Because everything.
It was a perfect day for it for me because I got up I was in Orlando and up until 2 a.m. and then got the 1 hour sleep I got was the extra hour. So it was perfect. But you know what occurred to me today was that we should give everyone just a card where you have credit for 1 hour and you get one a year. And so on just whatever day you need it, you go, I'm calling in my hour. I want an extra hour right now. I'm going to sit down and just relax for an hour and nobody can get mad at you. Just this 1 hour card.
Don't think we can enforce that.
You don't think we can enforce that? You just register on the internet and just check, you know?
Nope. I think people get mad at you no matter what. You could do that in an organization, and people do have personal days, which is kind of like that.
Oh.
But I'll tell you, I have one clock by my bed that is not hooked into the world. So it's a clock that Teller gave me. It's a clock for the hard of seeing, the partially blind. And it's one of those old LED, what are the red?
LED.
LED red, and it is what is that, 6 inches, maybe 5 inches high. And Teller got it for me because there's no clock I can read without my glasses. So I don't know what time it is. Teller got it for me 35 years ago when LEDs were like a big deal, maybe 40 years ago.
And it still works.
It still works perfectly, but it doesn't change and adjust on its own. So I felt I got up really, really early. I mean, I felt like I got up at a normal time.
Right.
And then I went down to my computer and said, wow, I'm up really early. That hour just came to me. It was very nice. I could use that every morning.
So with that choice, you could have been Flavor Flav. But instead, he chose LED.
Yeah, he did. I could have been Flavor Flav. Does Flavor Flav care about the time much? Did the
He
clock?
always knows what time it is.
That's what it means.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course. And does he? Is the clock around his neck accurate?
I don't know.
Does it even run is the next question, I guess. Who knows? Someone must. He lives here in Vegas, right?
Yeah.
We could call him.
Let's
call him and ask him.
What time is it, Flavor Flav? Neither one of you has commented on my T-shirt.
I did notice it. It is lovely. It is a really great Lenny Bruce.
I am wearing a T-shirt, Lenny Bruce. You know, I got this T-shirt.
I believe I saw it on Facebook
somewhere. I got a
in
package that came to our office that just said, here's a gift for you. Love, Kitty Bruce.
Wow.
Thanks. Lenny Bruce's daughter, Kitty Bruce, who runs a wonderful foundation in her father's name. There's something wonderful. There's Kitty Bruce and there's Kelly Carlin,
Yes.
who both two daughters that really do an awful lot to curate their father's memory and so on.
Sure.
They do both wonderful people too. I mean, I don't know Kitty well at all. I don't know Carlin at all,
Right,
really.
Kelly,
But
yeah.
I've met her a few times, and I enjoy her company. But I do like very much.
I was in Rain Pryor's doing that as well.
Really?
Some, yeah.
Yeah. I got the Richard Pryor book. I haven't read it yet.
Very odd memory from my childhood. For some reason, Rain Pryor stayed with me at my house when I was a kid for one day.
What?
And I have no memory of why or how. I just know that this girl came over and hung out with us for a day.
Okay.
It's a very odd thing, and I have no explanation for it.
You don't keep in touch with her?
I don't keep in touch with her. We didn't stay friends. We met for a day and hung out.
And if you go to the Lenny Bruce website, you can buy one of these T-shirts.
There's a great quote on the back of it, right?
There's two different quotes. On the back of this one is different. The one I wore yesterday, she gave me two.
Oh,
The one I wore yesterday was, if you don't have the right to say fuck, you don't have the right to say fuck the government.
that's a great quote.
It's also more profound the more you roll it around.
Yes.
It gets pretty deep and heavy. And this one says on the back, the Constitution does not help criminals. It helps the government not become a criminal. Something like that. Another great Lenny Bruce quote.
Very nice.
And it's a wonderful picture, just him.
It's a great picture.
In very jazz in the suit coat and with a cigarette in his mouth and
Yeah.
the right haircut and everything. And those T-shirts are available. And I guess Kitty Bruce sells them. I think the proceeds go to the some Lenny Bruce Foundation, which is some drug addiction and alcohol treatment program of some sort. That she has a lot of Lenny Bruce quotes up there. And I guess, I'm not that good a father because my son asked me who Lenny Bruce was. And I guess at 13,
Well, no, you have done some work to make sure that your children have their own music and their own comedy.
I
and their own-
do try to do that.
You're not trying to trick them into loving the Smothers Brothers or Lenny Bruce.
No, I wouldn't brag about it,
Right.
So many of my friends brag about their children having the same taste. But maybe my son should know about Lenny Bruce.
Other kids his age aren't asking who Lenny Bruce is.
That's true. That's a big step. And Piff, I gave him to understand. So my fake son now is obsessed with Lenny Bruce. We'd never heard of him. Not only the wrong age, but also English.
Yeah.
But I watch stuff with my son that he wants to watch. I watch Adventure Time.
Yeah.
I watch Don't Hug Me, I'm Scared. And we've been watching this stuff from Star Kid, as I said. We watched The Oregon Trail. And it's wonderful. And then he can explain stuff to me as we go and try to hit me, and try to knock me out of my okay boomer a little bit. And I think it's a good thing. I think it's a really good thing, and I enjoy that very much. So I've been working with Teller.
You're working with Teller at night now.
One time I was in New York, not one time, probably 24 times, with Gilbert. We were at a back table. We were sitting at this back table and we were just laughing. I mean, just laughing. Neither one of us was saying anything. We had said stuff and now we were just laughing. I mean, so that we couldn't breathe. And then it struck me that if I were a middle school student or a high school student who happened to, for whatever weird reason, be a fan of Gilbert Gottfried and Penn Teller. We're the wrong generation for that, but say that. When I was that age, I would have been, because
Right.
I was a fan of Flanders and Swan, a lot of stuff, Goon Show, that were not of my age. If I were like, and Lenny Bruce, to give you another example, because Lenny Bruce died when I was 13.
Yeah.
So, but if I were fans of that, and I had a picture, at 14 or 15, when you're not sophisticated,
Yeah.
what Gilbert and Penn would do when they were together, I would picture them at the back table of a restaurant just laughing.
Yeah.
So every night for the past 5 nights, I have gone to Teller's to work on new bits for the show and for Fool Us. And last night, I realized that if I had a picture, now Teller and I never work at his house, never.
No, I realize that.
But Teller's recovering. So Teller's not supposed to go out. So I'm kind of visiting him as he convalesces, right? So we usually meet at Starbucks, or we meet at the theater, or sometimes at my house. We never meet at Teller's house. But for the past 5 nights at about 8, including Halloween night, which makes it even funnier, Halloween night, I think I did exactly, if a child watches Fool Us and then wants to picture how Penn and Teller write bits, I think they might picture this. Halloween night, I pull up to Teller's house, which is on top of a hill. It's on top of a mountain.
Yeah.
And it might as well have lightning going into it.
It is spooky.
It's very spooky, and it's very angular. And you go up the driveway, and it's very
Long, curvy, skinny
curvy
driveway.
And there are skeletons all along the way, dog skeletons and all sorts of weird things. And I go up and I park, and it says, like, I'd turn around if I were you. And then I go in there, and you open the door, and there's a mirror that flips the whole room upside down while you go in. There's x-rays of rabbits and hats and sword swallowers and weird pictures from the Mutter Museum, weird freak pictures. And I go up these stairs with lights that change, disorient, and I walk down a hall that is actually not a hall. It's a fake mirror at the end.
Right.
Then I turn into another room, and he opens a bookcase, and I go into the bookcase into a back room where there's this little table that's marble, and there are 2 pots of tea. He always has different kind of tea for us. 2 pots of tea, and we have our 2 computers set up. Back to back, sitting across from each other in antique chairs. Behind me is an actual handwritten letter from Houdini.
Yeah.
Over on the table are actual props from Robert Houdin,
Right.
just out, right? There's a harpsichord, right?
Yes.
Sitting right there. There's probably not the finest, not the biggest, maybe the finest magic library in the world. Thousands of books in the other room. So the Teller can go, oh, there was this pamphlet I wanted to show you. And he goes to the other room and comes back with this. And Teller's kind of tottering around, and the lighting is, one lamp that's kind of shaded.
Weird and dim. It is.
Weird and dim. and harpsichord. Then there's paintings by his father and his mother, who painted really intense paintings, abstracts, but also portraits, all hanging down. And these eyes of death masks of Houdini and death mask of Buster Keaton, all looking down, right? And we're sitting in here on Halloween night with, as far as we can see off the mountain, just darkness, saying, what are we going to do next in the Penn and Teller show? And I thought, if you're watching Fool Us and you're 14 years old, there is nothing about this scene that disappoints.
Yeah. Or surprises.
Not one thing. Now, if Teller and I working in jogging shorts at a Starbucks with all light and friendly during the day, that disappoints, right? But boy, Teller's house with Penn and Teller writing new bits does not disappoint at all. Not even slightly.
14-year-old me is picturing you figuring out what practical joke you're going to play on David Copperfield.
Yeah, well, there's that too.
You can work that into your regiment tonight.
We were working on a practical joke on someone that I don't want to talk about here. But yes, very close to that. Very close to that. And we have been doing really nutty amounts of work. I believe this past 5 days, we have turned out more usable stuff than we have at any 5-day period in our lives.
I don't remember you ever just like sitting down to write. You're always kind of at a dry erase board and moving around. And it seems like sitting down and writing is a different process than the way you usually work.
But it's also that we don't have shows. So when I talk to Teller for 3 hours a night and then go away, we both go away and we do other work.
Yeah.
We do other work. And Teller goes through the books and he has people deliver him props and he builds stuff. And I came in the next day and he showed me this gimmick he'd built. He built it out of tape and cardboard, but it worked.
Right.
And now it's just going to be made properly. And we're getting this incredible amount of work done, including, when we were on off-Broadway, the poster for us off-Broadway is Big Me yelling at smaller Teller, cartoon silhouette, almost Simpson-like, handcuffed together. And that was the poster for Broadway. And the bit we did then was a bit called Handcuffs.
Yeah.
That was later called Cuff to a Creep.
Yes.
That was later called How We Met. We had three
I
names.
didn't know the third name.
Yeah, How We
Nice
Met.
one.
It used to be in the program as How We Met. And the gag was, we haven't done this for 25 years. It's the only bit we've ever written that doesn't take place in the theater.
Yeah.
We always do bits. If you were writing up our bit as a theater piece, it would say setting, theater,
Yeah.
time, present time while the show's going on. And there's no fourth wall.
Of course.
This is the only bit we've ever written with a fourth wall where we do not play Penn and Teller.
Right.
And we are also in another place. It's a park bench.
Right.
And we did it on Broadway. We had a park bench set behind us, And the gag is that the lights come up and I'm singing to myself and in my own little world. And I look over and notice Teller's next to me and I'm startled. We're strangers.
Mm-hmm.
And I try to have a conversation with him. He doesn't talk. Try to have a conversation with him. Doesn't talk. And then I move my hand and realize I'm handcuffed to him. And the audience then realizes that I have no idea why I'm handcuffed to him.
Yeah.
And my first reaction is to laugh, think it's a practical joke.
Mm-hmm.
And then the line that I believe defines me more than any line I've ever written for a Penn and Teller show, which is I look at the handcuffs and go, this is great. This is terrific. What is this? Which is, if I don't understand something, I automatically like it.
Yeah.
It's probably the most honest line I've ever written. And then I beg him to go to the police station. I beg him to come with me. And then we end up having a fight. And during the fight, he grabs my tie in his teeth to strangle me. I reach up to grab his head to protect myself. When I pull his head in, I notice and the audience notices around the same time that the handcuffs are gone. I am then in the position of embracing a stranger. He then returns the embrace, hugs me. We hold that hug for a moment, and then I very uncomfortably push away. I stammer. Oh, I thought they were on my, at the supernatural event. And then I leave the stage. And then Teller takes his sunglasses that have fallen off and he puts them back on. And then he reaches into his inner breast pocket and pulls out a set of handcuffs, puts them on his wrist, puts his hand over the back of the park bench, and waits for the next victim.
Yeah.
And it's a bit we wrote about loneliness and about desperate loneliness, and about how even I, who am the one that's attacked in this, long to have some sort of human contact. And it's a bit that
it goes against really my advice for most variety artists, which is to just admit that you are doing a show and to do your show. You know what I mean?
Right.
The idea that you try to write a theatrical piece,
which we always do.
Right. You always start out that way.
No, this is the one exception.
Yeah.
We in whatever we've created, probably 15 hours of material.
Right.
This is 5 minutes that doesn't take place.
I know it's such a strange thing, and yet it's really effective. I've seen it, and it's a beautiful, really interesting, cool piece of theater.
And it was the thing that got us the most attention, the early reviews. It was the one they talked about. It was the thing that was the most away from what other magicians were doing. And we're very, very proud of it. We haven't done it in 25 years. We lost the groove. And then cell phones completely fucked us up. Because now, if you have that issue, it's not, hey, let's go to the police. It's let's call, right?
Yeah.
You pull the cell phone out. So we had that problem to deal with. Also the fact that you don't want to see two men our age in a stage combat thing.
In a fight, yeah.
Yeah. So we had to do a kind of a page one rewrite. And we got the idea, which is really thrills me, of starting, which also we've never done, starting with Sam Harris's voice in the dark, doing his meditation. Take the breath in, hold it, exhale. And the lights come up very, very slowly. And you realize that I'm meditating on a park bench.
Mm-hmm.
And I've got AirPods in.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm finishing up. And then Sam goes into meditation, which is about loving kindness, and then says, try to carry this on to strangers. Thank you for joining me. And then I finish that, and I look over, and Teller startles me, just sitting there. And I say, I'm sorry, I didn't even see you sit down because I was listening to Sam Harris.
Yeah, of course.
I'm Sam Harris, and people think, he's known as the atheist, but he actually does all this meditation. He's very, very spiritual. And I didn't, and then Teller, I get no reaction from Teller. And I say, oh, are you meditating? Maybe you're meditating too. Oh, you couldn't be meditating. You don't have headphones. Which I think is a good joke.
Yeah.
A good joke. And then I go through this, and then since I can't get a reaction from him, I naturally reach up and take one of the ear pods out of my ear. And as I hold it down, Teller takes it from me, which I think is very odd, but I then talk about the AirPods and how much they cost and everything else, and I go on and on and on about that, and then Teller sticks it in his ear. And I say, well, that was just in my ear, and you're a stranger, and there's some hygiene issues, and then he reaches over and takes the other one out of my ear. And I go, well, since you have them in, I'll play you something. And I go to hit my Apple Watch, and I realize we're handcuffed.
Okay.
Then I go through the whole moments of that. I would have known, why are we handcuffed? This is great. This is terrific. All of that, all of that, all of that, all of that, all of that. And he still hasn't even turned his head to acknowledge me. Oh, so if I would take the second one out, he grabs it. When I turn my head back to look at my phone, he just throws it like 15 feet away. So he has one in his ear and one he's just thrown. So I go to turn his head. He grabs my hand. I come back and I say, listen, I'm just going to call 911 and take care of this. And I pull out my cell phone, and Teller just instantly grabs it and heaves it. Just throws it. And then I say, okay, and I go for my watch, and my watch is gone because Teller's stolen it when I turned his head. So now we've stripped me, right? We've taken away the ear pods,
Oh, yeah.
the phone, and the watch. So now I'm alone without that. Then there's a really, really long pause, and I go, hey, Siri. Now everything in the room is lighting up now. Sorry. My computer,
But he's
my
home.
phone, everything. But I yell that out, and which I think will be a nice laugh.
Yeah.
And the phone's broken when it hit.
Right.
So I get nothing. So I'm left alone there. And then as I'm yelling to do that, I kind of put my arm around him and say, okay, let's get up. And as soon as I put my arm around him, the audience realizes that the handcuffs are gone. So now I've got my arm around him. There's been no fight, but my arm's around him in an embrace, and he reaches up and puts his hand on my hand. We have that moment of loving kindness. Then I kind of explained to him that I thought we were handcuffed. I go and pick up my phone, pick up my watch, pick up one of the AirPods, and then I walk all the way back and take the last one out of his ear. Sorry, this is mine. And just there's that uncomfortable eye contact and moment. And then I leave, and Teller reaches in his pocket, pulls out the handcuffs, puts them on, and waits for the next person. Nice. So I just wrote a note to Sam Harris this morning saying, hey, Sam, do you want to be in our... Because, of course, we can use Andy from Headspace.
Yeah, I like Andy.
We like Andy. We could have Andy do it.
It's funny. I was trying to remember his name this morning.
I just want Sam Harris to know that we'd like him to do this favor for us, but we got other places to go.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
You can't get back to us, Sam.
Yeah.
We got things to do.
We got things to do. So if you want to do it, Sam,
I'm betting Sam Harris gets back to you.
Yeah. Well, I write to him pretty often. He always answers me. So I think he probably will want to do it. So
that's a really fun bit. That'll be great.
I think it'll be really great. We're very excited about putting it back in. That'll be the next season of Fool Us. And we're also talking about even putting it in Australia.
Ah, yeah. Packs flat.
It does pack flat, plays big.
Yeah.
Then I left Halloween when we were working on this.
Yeah. Did anybody come trick-or-treating to Teller's house?
No.
Because it is a long hike up a dark,
No one
scary
comes
driveway.
to my house either.
In your new neighborhood?
Isn't that weird? Isn't that weird?
Now we had a billion kids at my
I
house.
know. We don't get them in our house.
I love it.
I know.
That's one of the
I love it.
highlights.
I love it. My mother used to count them and talk to every one of them and say what kind of hobgoblins. I wanted to do that when I have my own house, but we don't get them. I don't know if they discourage it in my fancy neighborhood or whatever.
Did
but
your kids go trick-or-treating?
they didn't this year. They didn't. They went to friends' houses, and that's what I was going to get to. So my son, and I thought this was funny. Maybe you don't. I thought it was funny. For Halloween, my son dressed as Santa Claus.
That is funny.
I think it's pretty funny. So he was in a Santa suit.
Yeah, good thinking.
And he went to a friend's house, and I guess he did a little trick or treating, maybe. But they had chicken wings and pizza and carrot sticks. He got in the car with a lot of carrot sticks. Then I went to pick up Moxie, who was at another friend's house, because parenting, especially in the early teens, is just Uber.
Yeah, taxi. You're a taxi driver.
So I drove about an hour and a half, ferrying them around. So I finished up with Teller, went to pick them up at about 11. And we got into the car at Moxie's friend's house. We drove a little ways. We were in the middle of traffic, which is important to the story. And Z said, we have to find a restroom. I'm going to barf. Use the word barf, which I thought was pretty good.
Nice.
And I said, we're stuck in traffic. We can't get there. I said, roll down the window. Now, in my Tesla, my brand new, gorgeous Tesla, actually it's 2 years old, but I am...
You know what it doesn't do? It's clean itself.
Yes, it does.
It does.
Yes, it does. For the first time ever in my life, I have been a little fastidious about my car. I have a car. We have a family car. I like my car. I don't like, they bring soda cans in, wrappers. I take all that stuff out, okay? I tell them not to spill. I'm careful not to spill. The car for 2 years has stayed very, very clean.
Right.
I say to Z, we'll roll down the window. Well, he does roll down the window halfway and then vomits all over the inside of the car. You would think that it was some sort of drug or alcohol, but no evidence of that. Carrot sticks.
Yeah.
Yeah. He was totally sober, totally aware. He just vomited all over.
Beta-carotene overdose.
Yeah. So then I don't know what to do. So I roll down all the windows for the smell and then drive 80 miles an hour on the freeway with all the windows down. It's horrible. It's so loud and cold and windy. And Moxie's getting sick in the back seat because the vomit hit her, and then she's also in the freezing
blowing
cold.
around the car,
and she's freezing. Everybody's freezing. It's she just says this is the worst Halloween ever. And I go, well, I would think so, yeah. And then we get home. You know what I do? I park the car out front of the house with all the windows down, and I text Emily, who's in New York to run the marathon, and I say, Z threw up in the car. I don't know what to do. She says, walk away. So I go in, I go to bed. I wake up the next morning. The car has been fully cleaned, shampooed, 2.5 hours of detailing by a professional. No evidence that anything happened except the car is cleaner than it's ever been than the day I bought it. So that's where I live my life.
That's what it is to be rich right there. That is a rich man's story.
Walk away.
Yeah.
Walk away.
Yeah. I would have been out there for 2.5 hours the next morning myself trying to clean the damned car.
Well, I said to Emily that what I was going to do was open the door and take a garden hose and just clean it off like that. And she realized that would ruin the car. I realized it would ruin the car. I didn't care. So that's been taken care of.
Well, very nice. Nice solution. And I was driving back. We were talking about your Tesla earlier also, because I was driving back last night from Daytona Beach to Orlando to get onto a flight. About a 90-minute drive.
What were you doing?
Lance Burton and friends at a magic convention, the Daytona Beach Magic Convention.
The big magic convention was in Orlando.
Last night?
No, like a few weeks ago.
No,
I was there. What's the Daytona Beach magic?
I don't know what to tell you about it. Yes, it is. It's a magic convention.
Okay, was it good?
It was great. It was great. And the public show is open again to the public. Sold out house, big full place, great shows.
Fielding?
Fielding was great. Fielding was really funny.
I like fielding.
Fielding was funny. He had a bird that wouldn't behave, so his bird kept hopping off. Every time he did anything with the bird would jump onto the floor and try to run away from him. So he thought that was hysterical and got an extra 20 minutes out of the show messing around with his bird. And then, we hung out and ran Lance's movie and then did a question and answer afterwards. And from that point, it was time to drive to the airport.
You ran his movie?
Yeah, like 11:15, 11:20 we started, an hour and 45-minute movie, and then answered questions about it and then signed autographs.
What questions people have about it?
Usually, what was your favorite scene to do, or who was that, or why did these people do this? And it's fun. It's fun to talk about because it's a lot of people that we know, and it's a lot of fun. And
Spielberg doesn't get asked a lot. Why?
No, exactly. He's missing out on the fun.
And then you drove a self-driving car?
I drove almost self-driving car, the new Toyota, I guess, Corolla.
Mm-hmm.
And it has a stay in the lane and accelerate and decelerate with the people in front of you kind of thing. But it's got a funny thing, and I had never done one before, so I don't know much about it. But on this one, you have to hold on to the steering wheel for it to work. That
was not originally true for the Teslas, and they changed it.
Right.
So now you have to give them a little bit of resistance. You have to let them know you're there.
You have to be hanging on.
Not really. You can let go for like 2 minutes. Then you got to go over.
No, this one's not 2 minutes. This is 10 seconds. And at the end of that 10 seconds, it shuts off. And so at the moment when you need it most, if you fell asleep and your hand dropped off the wheel, it would stop driving, even though it could drive for another hour and a half perfectly fine. So I have an invention. I think we ought to have like a snake that you could put on your steering wheel that would just sit on your steering wheel and add that weight or the conductivity or whatever it is that it needs.
On the Tesla, it's resistance.
Uh-oh. Sorry.
But with the Tesla,
right,
it flashes to give you some resistance.
Okay.
And if you don't do that, it flashes for like 10 seconds, and then all hell breaks fucking loose. It keeps driving, but it starts going, wah, wah, wah.
Yeah, see, I feel like that's a good choice.
That's the right way to do it.
That's the right way to do it. But it was interesting to drive with it.
Yeah, it's fun. And I now have, on autopilot, I have navigation. So when I come to Reddy's, it tells me I was going to change lanes now before the exit.
Wow.
It knows the navigation and does all that. You should get...
How much will it self-drive? I mean, would it drive from your house to here?
No. But once you get to the highway, it will. It'll change lanes and do all that. It looks for the faster lane and finds it and goes across and stuff like that.
Oh, nice. That sounds great.
And it'll drive around a parking lot and come and pick you up.
Yeah. Have you done it?
On its own, I haven't. I'm scared.
I think that's the universal response.
But I let it park itself all the time.
But you're sitting in it when it does it.
Yeah. But it doesn't, I don't watch it.
Oh, okay.
I talk to my children and stuff, and it pulls in tight spaces too.
Wow.
It parks beautifully.
Wonder what they would do at the DMV if you used it.
What's that?
What do they would do at the DMV when you parallel park? Can you parallel park? Sure I can. Watch this. There I go. Hit the button. There we go. We're parked.
Auto park? Yes. We're done.
You're done. Get out of here.
So I am a little bit, I'm really sore. I'm really sore.
From the Tater fall.
From the Tater fall. And I'm going to wrap it up now because I want to talk about the Fifth Amendment.
Oh, yeah.
I want to talk about all sorts of stuff, but I'm going to do that on Wednesday's show because I covered all the little stuff on this one. I'm giving platelets again tomorrow, so I could also.
You're saying you couldn't have any aspirin.
I couldn't have any aspirin, which was a drag because I was so sore from the Tater fall. But I took Tylenol; it was okay. Because you can't take Advil either. That's an NSAID.
NSAID, yeah.
Is that the way you say it? NSAID?
Yeah, NSAID, yeah.
Yeah.
Non-steroidal anti-inflammatory.
That what it stands for?
Yeah.
I thought it was self-contained underwater breathing apparatus.
Yeah, pretty close to that.
That was Penn Sunday School.
That was Penn Sunday School.
Cha-cha-cha.
And to our listening,
You become
all nature sang
naked.
round us rang the music of the sea. That was Penn Sunday School.
Yeah, then the guy, the delivery guy, I didn't have my phone on to let him in the gate, so he waited a half an hour at the gate, and he came with the Chinese food for my children, very angry at me. And then two things changed. In rapid succession, he figured out who I was, and I gave him $20 and went from hating me to, you're the man.
Nice.
So I love you.